Let me just recount an incident that happened to me in one of my own concentration camps. I was confronted within a couple of days with two comrades, the one of whom I knew that they are prone to suicide. Now what happened? I asked both why they wished to commit suicide, to take their lives, and without knowing independently from one another, they told me, "See, doctor, I've nothing to expect from my life anymore." And you know what I improvisingly asked them? Now listen, isn't it conceivable that instead life expects something from you?
Viktor Frankl, born in Vienna, Austria on March 16, 1905, died September 2, 1997. He was a witness to nearly 100 years of the developing field of psychotherapy. Frankl first became interested in psychology as a teenager. At this age, he began developing a regular correspondence with Sigmund Freud, even submitting a paper to the International Journal of Psychotherapy at Freud's encouragement. Frankl also established a relationship with Alfred Adler around this time. However, these relationships were short-lived, as Frankl did not believe a man's primary motivation in life was a will to pleasure, as Freud believed, or a will to power, as Adler postulated, but a will to meaning.
Today, the search for meaning is what has become frustrated, and people, our patients, complain that they cannot see any longer a meaning or purpose in their lives.
After Heath, a 27-year-old living in Austin, Texas, lost his job in banking, he began to experience symptoms of depression. He was suffering from changes in sleep and appetite, and found himself unmotivated to begin his job search. He felt a deep lack of purpose, and felt he lacked power to change his situation. Heath had been going to cognitive behavioral therapy and was on medication for depression, but he was still struggling to find motivation to change his circumstances. On his therapist's recommendation, he decided to see a logotherapist.
Heath came to me as a supplement to his normal therapy, rather than a substitute. And that's really how Viktor Frankl intended it to be used. Logotherapy can be very helpful for clients who are struggling not just to work through neuroses, but also to find a sense of meaning and purpose in their life.
In contrast,
first thing I wanted to do with Heath is to help him widen his circle of meaning. This normally results in clients gaining distance from their symptoms, which is the first step of logotherapy. One technique that's useful here is de-reflection. With this technique, I generally help the client see the connection between his reflecting on the problem and the symptoms he's experiencing. So for example, when a client desires something strongly, they tend to hyper-reflect on any obstacles to that goal, and then have difficulty reaching the goal as a result of that hyper-reflection. In Heath's case, his desire to find a new job was causing him to hyper-reflect on his worth as an employee, which was having a negative impact on his self-esteem and was causing some depressive symptoms. I wanted to get at some other areas of his life in which he finds worth and meaning and purpose in order to help him find some distance from those symptoms. The next step in logotherapy is the modification of unhealthy attitudes. The goal here is for the client to change his attitude of because this happened to although this happened. For example, instead of he thinking because I lost my job, I'll never be employed, he might think although I lost my job, I have many strengths and have the opportunity to look for new, more fulfilling job opportunities. In doing this, I always try to use a Socratic approach in which I lead the client to draw his own conclusions through my questioning. It's not up to me to tell a client what gives or should give their life a sense of meaning and purpose, but with guiding questions, I may help a client realize that they are experiencing something as meaningful when they're not really seeing it themselves that way. Once a client has made that realization, they can change their attitude about their symptoms, and then the symptoms will naturally begin to reduce. The last step of logotherapy is to facilitate a client's search for a new meaning. In this step, I will encourage a client to think through and discuss all the potentials for meaning that exist in their life.
You know, before I came to logotherapy, I was really letting my job loss get me down. I felt like my joblessness defined me, and now I see that there are so many other ways that my life has meaning. It feels really good to be creating something again. I've realized that I'd like to give back and direct my energy outward, and I've really clarified my values through this process. Dr. McCoy helped me to take responsibility for my happiness, and once I started to see meaning elsewhere, I started to find it everywhere.
I want